Okay, I think we can start now. The numbers don't move anymore. And yeah, so the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So welcome everybody to our webinar E-Mobility Planning and Charging Infrastructure. This webinar is the first one of a series of webinars presented by Federen. And as we have also participants that are not or maybe not yet members of Federen, I would like to say a few words about our association. I hope you can see it. Is it good, sir?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's perfect. So fine. Yeah, on this slide you can see the widespread of Federen members over Europe. We have
Sorry, I make a mistake. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. So we have 73 members all over Europe in 20 member states, and as you also can see, we have a long history of experience and action and cooperation. I guess it's more than 28 years old. Yeah, and the office is located in Brussels, and here we have 5 very hardworking and experienced, highly qualified staff members which support us in our daily work, and which is a very good support for our work. The next slide. Here we can see the different or the main areas of services Federen provides to its members, and we have as one and very important part this exchange of experience. We are in constant exchange with the others, and this is a really big asset for our work. We can transfer our know-how, we can support each other in promotion, and are supported, as I already said, by this very good office in Brussels, and it helps us very much to implement, for example, European projects, and yeah, that's very important part. Already mentioned EU projects. Federen informs its members about deadlines, about possible funding programs. Federen advises and assists in preparing the applications, and last but not least, it supports the building of consortia. And the last part, but it's very important, is the representation of regional interest to EU the regional interest on EU level. It has the role a little bit like it brings the ideas of the regions to Europe, but also it brings back some parts of the policies of Europe to the regions, and so there is a very vivid exchange. And you can see Federen prepares position papers. It is very active in lobbying for our interests. It participates in consultations, and yeah, organizes very high-level EU events. And I can say from my experience, Federen has really a voice in Brussels and in Europe, and it is very well connected. So on the next slide, beside webinars, which we have today, here are some examples of the actions we implemented, Federen, its members, in the last months. So we prepared recommendations for the multi-annual framework, financial framework. There was prepared a position paper on energy efficiency and energy performance in the Buildings Directive, a position paper on REST Directive. So you can see there is really, you can bring your ideas, your interests really to the Brussels, and you will be heard. So that's very important, or that's what I can see very honestly from my side. Yeah, and now we come to the point, to our webinar today. Planning and charging infrastructure. We will focus today on a specific role which especially municipalities have in this context. And here we have, we will hear something from our colleagues from ALEA in Romania and from our colleagues from ENERGAP in Slovenia. And then we will have we will learn some practice examples from South Sweden and learn something about charging infrastructure from UK in Spain. So you can see it's a wide range of input you will receive today. And please, I can only say, please use this opportunity, ask questions, maybe also share your experience, because I think that's a good opportunity really to learn from each other, which we should use. As a last point for the introduction, I would like to throw your attention to the next webinar, which will be in the end of October and will focus on urban freight and cargo bikes. So also very interesting and very current topic. So now I would like to start with an introduction to the topic. Maybe we can change. I will put on my presentation now. You can see it?
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Perfect. Perfect. So, with a short introduction, so I would like to highlight the European challenges in the transport sector in general, and show also how e-mobility can be a solution for these challenges, and also underline the European strategies regarding e-mobility, and give a short overview about the current situation in the member states on this topic. So what are the challenges of what are the challenges of transport in the EU? The most important challenge and a really huge problem is that transport accounts for around 1/3 of the total final energy consumption and more than 1/5 of the greenhouse gas emissions in the EU. That's quite a huge amount. And even though already many strategies and activities have been implemented on all levels, emissions from transport are still increasing. As an example, for example, emissions from transport, including aviation but not international shipping, in 2015 were 23% above the 1990 level. Even though there was a small decline from 2008 to 2013, there is still this increase. And compared to 2014, there is an increase of 2%. So we can see it's constantly increasing. If we compare the different sectors of mobility, we can say that international aviation has the largest percentage of increase in greenhouse gas emissions compared to 1990 levels. It is 105%, and it's followed by international shipping, which is 22% compared to the 1990 level, and the last one is road transport. It's 19%. So that's figures from the European Environmental Agency, and really show how much it is increasing. If we now go to other international strategies, we have to realize that in order to meet the targets of the Paris Agreement and to limit global warming to an increase of just 2 degrees by 2015, the EU must cut transport emissions by 60% compared to the 1990 level. So here we see the difference between strategies and the reality. So beside this, we see that transport, another aspect is that transport is security of supply. Transport suffers from high oil dependency, as we can see here. Even though there was really an improvement in energy efficiency, transport still depends on oil for 96% of its energy needs. And we all know that oil will become scarcer in the future and will increasingly coming from unstable parts of the world. also, economic aspect is combined with it. By 2050, the price for oil is projected to more than double compared to 2005. And as the last point, we see congestion. Congestion affects both road and air traffic. And an interesting figure is that it costs Europe around 1% of its annual GDP. And we see it is constantly growing. So somebody is is moving. So how can electromobility be a possible solution to these challenges? We can say that electric cars have a higher tank-to-wheel efficiency compared to conventional cars. A conventionally full car converts only 25% of the supplied energy into kinetic energy. An electric car converts on average 65 to 85%. So that's quite different. And of course, the energy should come, and if it comes from renewable sources, an electric vehicle produces no CO2 or other pollutants. Electric vehicles reduce noise emissions, and for example, pedelecs can be used to replace cars, and for short as well as also for longer distance, and so reduce congestion and also reduce traffic in general, which I think is also a very important target today. So we have many arguments in favor of electric mobility. Nevertheless, the transition to a more future-oriented mobility needs to be supported. And of course, the EU is very active in this. Reducing greenhouse gas emissions from transport sector is a key priority for EU, which is very obvious when we are thinking about the challenges we saw before. I will present two current strategies, including e-mobility, which will pave the way to a more sustainable transport sector in the EU in the future. The first one, we see here on the slide, is the white paper from 2011, Roadmap to a Single Europe Transport Area. The European Commission adopted this roadmap, including 40 concrete initiatives to build a competitive transport system. At the same time, also the proposals included shall reduce Europe's dependence on imported oil and could cut carbon emissions in transport by 60% to 2050, which is the key goal. The other goals by 2050 will include a shift to cleaner cars and cleaner fuels. That will be 50% shift away from conventionally fueled cars by 2030 and phasing them out in cities by 2050, which clearly means that by 2050 there shall be no more conventionally fueled cars at that time. So that's a very clear target. Next target is 40% of sustainable low-carbon fuels in aviation and at least 40% cut in shipping emissions. And the last one is 50% shift of medium-distance intercity passengers and freight journeys from road to rail and airborne and waterborne transport. And we should keep in mind that also, for example, rail is a part of electromobility. All these measures shall contribute to the 60% cut to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. In the white paper, it's highlighted that without significant uptake of alternative fuels, we will not achieve the targets of the Europe 2020 strategy and our climate goals for 2050. And therefore they announced that the Commission has to develop a sustainable alternative fuel strategy. And this directive, the Directive Clean Fuels for Transport, was adopted in 2014. And the directive requires member states to develop national policy frameworks for the market development of alternative fuels and their infrastructure. It foresees that the use of common technical specification for recharging a refueling station, a very important point, as we will maybe see later. It paves the way for setting up appropriate consumer information on alternative fuels, including a clear and sound price comparison methodology. Regarding electricity in urban and suburban areas, it foresees an appropriate number of publicly accessible charging stations. And related to e-mobility, this means that the number of accessible points has to increase about by the end of 2020. What does that mean, or what is it exactly? What is an appropriate number of charging stations? And so here we can say that market tests have shown that each electric vehicle needs 2 charging points, one at home and one at work, and about 10 of them all should be publicly available as accessible. To address especially this range anxiety, which we have, is very, very prominent in the discussion. And so we see that it's 10% of them, and the Commission has set a benchmark of 5 million EVs on the road by 2020. So then we can see how much of them, how many stations should be available. But to be honest, that currently, I think it's less than half what we have. Now I will come to the situation in the member states, having now in mind a target of EVs of approximately 6 to 8% of vehicle sales in 2020. We here clearly see that member states are mainly far away from this goal. Only maybe Sweden and Finland have an opportunity, or Sweden is very close to it. In Germany, for example, we have had the goal of 1 million e-vehicles on the road by 2020. Actually, we have around 53,000 e-vehicles, 236 hybrid vehicles, and 44 plug-in hybrids. So it's not very close to this goal. If we have a broader look on Europe in general, we see that especially in Norway, but also in Iceland, there is an excellent market share, and the general situation, maybe I have some figures from 2017, and there were 3 million electric passenger cars on the road worldwide, and 40% of them are in China. So it's clear who are the front runners in this sector. What are the influence factors? And we can say that in 2016, most EU member states employed incentives or taxes-based emission to steer the purchasing decision on cars. Only in what I found in, maybe you can correct me, but I found that only Poland, Bulgaria, and Estonia did not provide any incentives on this. The number of countries offering incentives for electric vehicles increased between 2010 and 2016. It's also in combination with all the directives, for example. And a study from the Joint Research Center of 2017 on fiscal incentives and electric vehicle sales has found that a high correlation between financial inducement and the purchase of electric vehicles. For example, in Norway, where incentives ranged between 39 and 67% of the net price for a battery electric vehicle, and between 17 and 23% net price of a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, the total costs for owning electric vehicles are the lowest. And you see from the purchases or the market share, it is very successful. In Germany, I can say we have a tax exemption for a defined period and the purchase subsidies, but it's still quite expensive to own such an e-vehicle or plug-in hybrid. On this, we can see a little bit the development of market share of plug-in hybrids and battery electric vehicles in the EU 28. And here we can see it is a clear increase, but it's still on a very low level in general. So what could be the role of municipalities in this area? What could they do in this context? And from my experience, I would say that municipalities, being the close to everyday life of their citizens, are the drivers for the implementation of new and sustainable transport concepts. They cooperate with a multitude of stakeholders that can support and foster new modes of transport. We think here of companies, of sales areas, and the municipality has a direct access to them. And in this sense, municipalities are acting in a way as a catalyst by promoting e-mobility to targeted projects in the urban area and integrating it into climate protection strategies, so that this is a consolidated strategy and not that the transport is separated from the other strategies. In this setting, sustainable results can be achieved by combining the systematic integration of electric mobility in all municipal activities, the mobilization of stakeholders, also citizens, and the implementation of concrete measures, including the creation, for example, of new business models for electricity providers. And I guess that we will see in the examples of our colleagues in the next presentations. And so I would like to thank you for your attention and like to hand over the floor, if there are no questions, hand over the floor to the next speaker, to Tibi Toma from Alea from Romania. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tekla. I would like to know if you want to take the floor, if you have questions to Tekla, please let me know as soon as possible. And I will, I think that, I cannot find TB, so probably it's under that name.
Florian.
Florian. Yeah, okay. So thank you. You have the floor, exactly. Could you open your camera, please?
Yes, I just did. Everything as it should be?
Yeah, except I cannot see you.
Oh, that's interesting, because...
You have to share your camera. Yeah, you're back. Hello.
Okay. Some small technical delays. Yes, thank you. Hello. Thank you, Tekla, for the introduction. My name is Tiberiu Toma. I'm responsible for the communication activities within ALBA Local Energy Agency. My presentation will be one on e-mobility in Romania as challenge for Romanian local authorities. The presentation is structured in two basic parts. At the beginning, I will talk about the national and local contexts concerning e-mobility. Then I will move on and give a few details about e-mobility, the status quo of Alba Iulia municipality, which is one of the four front-runners municipalities in Romania when it comes to e-mobility. When describing the national context, we have to bear in mind that in Romania, the number of vehicles, especially second-hand ones with high emissions, has constantly increased in the recent years. Moreover, the government decision last year of eliminating the environmental tax for second-hand cars brought from outside Romania's border meant a never-before increase of the number of cars. Unfortunately, many of them being very old with questionable conditions. This inevitably led to a heavy traffic and high pollution levels in many of the cities. So the natural approach for municipalities was to start thinking about the elaboration of a new urban mobility strategy, and naturally to promote new low-emission generation vehicles, especially of full electric ones, which is essential as well. Unfortunately, e-mobility as domain in Romania is at the beginning, and this is due on one hand to the situation of the electric vehicle market, which is still underdeveloped, and to the lack of proper charging infrastructure all over the country, on the other hand. This market, which is still underdeveloped, this constitutes the basis of the main challenge that represents some strong barriers for electric cars to penetrate the Romanian market. These challenges are mainly the high purchase price of electric vehicles, few available charging stations, especially in cities, and not lastly, the prejudices still present regarding electric vehicles, such as the ones related to autonomy. The situation, coupled with the fact that Romanian local authorities have not set e-mobility as priority, leads to the present status quo of this domain in Romania. For local authorities, the main causes for the lack of interest was mainly the insufficient knowledge of the domain, generally speaking, and also the lack of proper funding schemes. It is of common interest, of common understanding that in order to change something visible and with high impact in this domain, local authorities need strong financing to implement measures. And lastly, municipalities have not taken into serious consideration the setting up of the necessary charging infrastructure as well. In Romania, the EV market is one of the worst, unfortunately, throughout the European Union, but the situation is expected to slowly become better with the new programs, especially the regional operational program through Priority Axis 4 and 1, axis which supports directly the sustainable development of urban areas, and it offers funds for e-mobility related measures. According to the data provided by the Romanian Automobile Registry, and that is since 2012. Out of these, more than half, that is 299, are in Bucharest. In the capital city, the most prolific year was 2017, when 135 full electric cars were registered. The western part of the country, and Transylvania included, are also two regions that have a higher number of electric cars registered, that is 163 electric cars. But as I said, this is not a desirable situation for us. And for the sake of a comparison, in Europe in 2017, approximately 200,000 electric vehicles were sold. This includes also both full electric, but also hybrid cars as one. From what I know, it's half only the electric vehicle part. So according to these figures are according to the European Alternative Fuels Observatory. Central authorities have tried encouraging the EV market by different small-scale programs throughout the recent years. And at the moment, the Romanian government encourages the purchase of full electric cars with the so-called Rabla Plus program, in an ad hoc translation is a Scrap Plus program, with the help of which any buyer of an electric car can get a 10,000 euro worth eco ticket. Moreover, if the buyer hands in an old car, it can get an extra 1,500 euro bonus. A rather interesting characteristic brought up in the media and by different circles of this program is that the eco ticket must not exceed 50% of the sale price of the new full EV. This discourages the purchase of EVs such as the Renault Twizy and the like. However, it doesn't affect the appetite of buyers of buying small size EVs, as their price is starting way beyond 30,000 euro. One exception being the Volkswagen Up. Even in the given Romanian situation, some local authorities have shown interest in the e-mobility domain in the recent years, but unfortunately not much happened. Today, in the perspective of the new policy instrument Regional Operational Program Priority Axis 4.1, it has become evident that they have to enhance their capacity and experience to elaborate strong e-mobility related project proposals in order to successfully apply for funding through this policy instrument, which requires also that the e-mobility intended measures to be well integrated into a comprehensive sustainable mobility plan. All in all, local authorities that intend to implement e-mobility measures in the future, there are several challenges still to overcome, such as insufficient knowledge, underdeveloped EV markets, lack of necessary charging infrastructure, insufficient available funds, and other local authorities' budgetary constraints. In the recent years, however, the overall feeling is that e-mobility is more and more supported through the local authorities' different sustainable plans, elaborated or under elaboration. For example, it is the case of sustainable energy action plans within the COM initiative. Sustainable mobility as an important domain in all these setups has to be sufficiently integrated and its measures promoted, as it has a strong impact in terms of reducing energy consumption, urban pollution, increasing the living standard of the citizens as well. Also, the sustainable urban mobility plans, which have been elaborated by several Romanian municipalities, promote actions to introduce electric vehicles and appropriate charging infrastructure, especially in public transport. And of course, through the e-mobility action plans. In Romania, the first 4 e-mobility action plans were elaborated with the support of ALEA in the framework of the EU-funded project E-Mobility Works for the municipalities of Alba Iulia, Baia Mare, Bistrița, and Ploiești, municipalities that are frontrunners of e-mobility domain in Romania. They already started in the implementation of some e-mobility actions. Within their action plans, all municipalities identified specific domains of application of e-vehicles, such as municipal fleet, tourism, public transport, and public utilities. Now turning to Alba Iulia as a good example in e-mobility. A few words about Alba Iulia. Alba Iulia is a small, medium-sized city in the middle of Romania. It is also the county seat of Alba County, and it has a population of 70,000. Alba Iulia municipality is currently implementing policies of sustainable local development and also launched the smart city initiatives with around 100 smart solutions in place. The Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan and the E-Mobility Action Plan were the 2 plans that proved that the municipality has serious intentions about implementing e-mobility measures in the city as part of their sustainable development strategy. The plans were elaborated in 2016, as mentioned in the framework of the E-Mobility Works project. The action plan currently is under implementation, and one of the main goals of the action plan is to promote the use of electric vehicles in the urban area as alternatives to classic vehicles with great impact on the environment, reducing the greenhouse gas emissions and also sound pollution. The municipality of Alba Iulia identified in the action plan 5 fields municipal fleet and municipal charging state infrastructure of municipal fleet and municipal charging infrastructure. The second is a private e-vehicle transportation system for touristic services. The third, public transportation. The fourth, private operators fleet and charging infrastructure. And the fifth is about legislation. The measures identified in them are as follows. For the first field of action, the acquisition of electric scooters for the local police task force, also with charging infrastructure, but a dedicated area for the charging infrastructure. The implementation of charging points in public areas for municipal and public e-vehicles using electricity from solar panels systems installed on municipal buildings, and the acquisition of an electric minivan for social services department of the municipality. For the second field, the implementation of e-bikes, e-scooters, sharing system, sharing network, renting network system with charging points inside the Alba Carolina Fortress. The Alba Carolina Fortress is the main touristical attraction, the main touristical point of the whole city. Implementation of a guided e-bike touristic route inside the Alba Carolina Fortress using an innovative voice command and GPS localization system. Implementation of a collective electric transport system, which is the mini e-bus e-train on a touristic route in the Alba Carolina Fortress. E-bike renting system on the nearby hill, which is called Mahmud, and on this hill there is a bike route. For this one, it was identified the e-bike renting system. For the third field of action, implementation of an e-bike transportation system for students. The acquisition of electric buses for transportation, public transportation in the city, included needing charging points. As for the fourth field of action, the acquisition of e-vehicles by the local taxi companies, there is a strong intention of a taxi company who is very interested in buying these cars. And charging points or stations for e-vehicles in private areas, we all know, most probably in commercial centers, in malls. And lastly, for the fifth field of action, the municipality identified local tax cuts for vehicle owners and parking spaces free of charge for e-vehicles. Even though these intentions and commitments, the intentions and commitments of the decision makers are strong, e-mobility as a specific domain is still at the starting point, even in Alba Iulia. Some actions that need to be emphasized when speaking about Alba Iulia's mobility status quo are as follows. The public transport company stated its strong intention to purchase electric vehicles using the available funds under a regional operational program. They already started some activities in this issue. The municipality of Alba Iulia also has strong intentions to buy electric vehicles for its fleet. There is one e-bike sharing service in place in the Alba Carolina Fortress. There are two electric minibuses operating in Alba Carolina Fortress. There is a rather long route in this fortress. It is almost 6 kilometers long in which only these minibuses operate. There are a few companies that sell or rent e-bikes and e-scooters or different other e-vehicles. There is one charging point installed in a private area inside the Harper Market parking zone, and there are still no. But the problem is there are still no statistical data about the number of vehicles in the town. However, according to our estimates, there are 10, maybe 15 privately owned cars. Of course, mostly small-sized cars in Alba Iulia. So these are some of the implemented actions or actions that are under implementation. For for now, I thank you, and if there are any other questions, I am willing to answer gladly.
Thank you very much, Tibi. Good to see you after this long time.
Good to see you.
Yeah, we have been both in this e-mobility works project. Are there any questions to this interesting presentation? Not yet? Then maybe I have a question. Would you say, what is your experience that these e-mobility action plans that cities who have this develop better than the others, or is it yeah?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yes. But as I said, the main problem is financing. They are very interested within the framework of this action plan to start something, especially in two fields of action: the public transportation and the touristical part and the touristical domain.
Yeah.
And they have really one of the main impacts was that they having this openness, and they having these relations with the e-mobility through us within the e-mobility works projects. They look at this domain as a future, as the future of the cities. So beside the small actions that are already taking place, the approach of this decision makers and the technical department is being better, being more open, is from our point of view a major advantage.
Mm-hmm. And you said that also it is possible to apply for money from structural funds.
Yes. There are funds to purchase electric vehicles for public transportation, electric buses under this regional operation program.
And is this also possible for private enterprises, or only for publicly owned?
Yeah, my example was for the private enterprise, because the public transportation system in Romania is privately owned.
Okay.
So yes, it is. It can be done by the private sector, of course.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions? So if not yet, maybe we have also the opportunity in the end. Tibi, thank you very much for your presentation. And now I would like to hand over the floor. It's the same topic to Vlasta from Energap, our colleagues from Slovenia. Vlasta, the floor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Just a second to switch on the camera. Yeah, I hope that we see each other well.
We cannot see your slides, Tekla.
I think it's mine already. Do you see mine?
No, I see. Yeah, sorry. Oops, okay.
Yes. So just like Tibi said before, it is really important to have the action plan, especially for municipalities and regions, because in the e-mobility we are sure that they are leading the actions, and they have to be really active. And to prepare the action plan, it's not just to write a paper, because we have a lot of different action plans, and if they are just the words on a paper, it's usually difficult then to implement them, and this is not what we all like. Maybe it was some of its advantages of e-mobility for municipalities has been said, but we can again repeat few of them, because I think it's really important that come to our mind, and especially to decision makers, that electric mobility really results in the reduction of CO2 emissions and also other air pollutants, especially these fine particles that really harm our health in the cities and that cause us a lot of problem. It's also the reduction of noise, which is also important to have a healthy living environment. And also offers new and really interesting technologies and future-oriented business models. It can give us really the push in this development and innovative aspects. They can also develop the green and sustainable image, as we will see later, also very world-known touristic areas in Europe. They try to develop also the e-mobility, green mobility as a part of their promotional activities. And last but not least, it is also, when we talk about the e-mobility, it's also the chance to rethink the mobility as a whole, with the municipal fleet, with the public transport, like we heard before from the Romanian case. It gives the municipality to be a front runner, to showcase, to be an example for their citizens, businesses, and they can work together. And we have quite a lot of these regular notices, guidelines or directives on the EU national and somewhere also on the local and regional level. But there is not only the need or the obligation to do it, because there are great chances for each individual municipality that they can really improve their quality of life as a whole. And it's not the future. Maybe 5 years ago, there were some people still talking about the e-mobility as a future, but today we know that it's already the part of the present. There is always the question, really, where to start. And within the e-mobility works project, we studied and research, and also exchange the experience, how really this process of setting up the action plan, good action plan, active, that could be really easy and fast implemented, could be developed. So here you see the chart how this service process could go. So firstly, we have to collect about the e-mobility information, where we are, to do the initial analysis, to set up then the mobility action plan, and of course the most important is to implement it. And then we have to always evaluate to see if we are approaching our targets. We see also the training, here is put as the last one, but we see that the information exchange, training, workshops, and all these awareness raising activities are one of the most important aspects in all these parts. Now I will go a little bit slower through each of these activities. So these are somehow the steps, how you can take it and then come to the successful end. So when we're talking about the collecting this e-mobility information, so we would like to collect this basic data on municipals' current e-mobility status and identify and involve key actors in the project. This is another, beside the education and training activities, is to involve all stakeholders. It is not only the mobility experts or energy experts should be involved, but all stakeholders that you see around the city, around the region. So we propose really to set up a sort of the stakeholder landscape. There are maybe producer of some parts of the electric vehicles. There is also touristic offices. There are public transport operators and similar. And they all together can really perform this status quo analysis, because it's always good to have this clear picture where the e-mobility stands in the municipality, from the point of the documents, the infrastructure, the points of the involvement of the decision makers, documents. So this is like a starting point, and then we can build further. Then we prepare initial analysis, that we see some numbers and some potential, so that we can then propose some action in the action plan. So we propose to have the analysis of the municipal fleet, of mobility habits of the employees and other organizations. What is also the initial analysis of this infrastructure for filling the vehicles, and also how this could be linked to these renewable energy systems. on the top of this information, then we can also prepare and ask and search around to find the investments and financial obligation, and how are this status on the financial situation, so that we can also draw the timeline when and what to implement. And also it's really important that we can plan how municipality can integrate e-mobility in their guidelines, in the sustainable development guidelines, clean air, energy related, touristic, as we saw. Also the social aspects of the e-mobility are also really important. And to prepare the plan how to purchase or build this renewable energy infrastructure. When we're setting up the action plan, so write the paper, so build the whole system, this is really the main point of these activities. And it also has some steps. Always on the start, we need this commitment of the decision makers. We know it on the municipal and regional level. They have to understand, they have to have this clear view, and they have to give the proof and like a green light to start with the action plans. And also stakeholders' involvement. They are not decision makers and politicians. They are not the only stakeholders in this preparation of the action plan. Like I said before, tourism, social institutions or social related project partners, also from the air quality, energy, and the development of the whole sector are really welcome to be stakeholders. And also the businesses and end user like citizens and some institutions. So after the analysis, it's good to put also some visions and the goals as a whole action plan should have, that we all see where we would like to be. And then we implement these actions. What is really important within the implementing the action plan? It's sometimes the question is, should we have the first e-vehicles or should we have the charging stations? I think this is never answered questions, because for the start we really need both. So in the action plan, at least there should be the actions related to this, how to get or start with a fleet, and also to how to start with this infrastructure, and to be as a starting point to start. And also the results of the action plan should be that the e-mobility should be somehow integrated in the everyday work of the municipalities' employees, because this is somehow security, or it can secure the good implementation. And when we do something, it's always good that time to time we evaluate what we have done, and also that we perform constantly the trainings, workshops, awareness raising. And the objective of these trainings and also checking and analyzing the results that we already achieved is to share the knowledge, the problems, and also to share this information with the important decision makers that can have a clear view about the impact of the e-mobility and how they can successfully overcome some barriers. On the top, you can see also the statements from the mayor of the Schladming. You know, this is really world-known touristic place in Austria, and they really stated out that electric mobility, it's really important for the whole development of their city, the region, and they really would like to work it. And they, after all this information activities and training, they all understand how important this could be, and that it's really lead to the sustainable development. And it's not only this evaluating is not only good for finding some problems or obstacles. and what hasn't been done, but it's also the opportunity that when we check what has been done, we can find really good practices, some best practice example, because a lot of people can learn from them and can really see how they work and how they can improve the certain aspects and achieve the results. As the end of implementing the action plan and having really developed a good approach towards the electric mobility in municipalities and regions, we can say that there are a lot of benefits for municipalities and regions. One is integrated approach. The goals and the measures really that are defined in the action plan really matched with other existing strategies and activities, like we said, energy, transport concepts, sustainable urban mobility plans, development plans. And also such action plans can give this long-term perspective that we can see and think in this way, that we are prepared for the future. And when we involving all the important stakeholders, when we continuously work on the awareness rising, it is also the ensurement that we can integrate all relevant stakeholders, and this can give us a broad consensus on the activities, action plans, and this can assure that action plan will be really implemented when written. Here you can see also the link, because in the frame of the e-mobility works, we developed and made a very nice presentation how really e-mobility can work and can help municipality to work in this field. It is, I think, a little bit more than 16 minutes. So I really invite you to have a look. Here you also have the link. It is on YouTube, and it's present in really a short time. Can give you really good information, and there are some statements from the stakeholders, and understanding this, you would be really able to prepare and to produce the action plans, and it will assure later to all of you to implement it in the right way. So that's all from my side. Thank you for your attention, and I'm open for questions.
Vlasta, thank you very much for this interesting presentation. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I could have one. Could you explain a little bit the impact on Maribor City?
Yes, we already prepared the action plans, and it was some activities already has been going on at the time that we prepared the action plan. So to collect all the stakeholders, it was really crucial for Maribor, because we already found out that there are few good examples. We have one fast infrastructure charging point. We had already faculty included that they had the photovoltaic link to the electric mobility. And when we collect and ask stakeholders to cooperate in the preparation of action plan, we found out that we are really the region and the city that already have an idea of e-mobility. So we just combine together, link together the stakeholders, and it was just like a rolling up then the activities. So the municipality and city councillors and mayors and mayor and vice mayor there, they saw that this is not something that we are just starting as an idea in somewhere above, but it's already something going on. And further developments was followed by the preparing some parking places for e-vehicles in the city that they were not, they don't have to pay for parking the electric vehicles in the city center, so they have a free parking and assured parking places. We have now one small bus running in the pedestrian zone. This for the pedestrians, they can jump on and off wherever they want. So there are really a lot of activities, and people in Maribor now feel that yes, electric mobility is here, so it's nothing new. Also, we have some subsidies for new vehicles, and really this story is now quite successful. We are looking for e-buses, how to purchase them. And now it's the topic that everyone is talking, is nothing really new, and we are quite happy that all actors and stakeholders understand the way that we think it should be.
It's on the development, but it's good.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I will give you back the floor.
Also a question, Vlasta. What were your experience with the inclusion of stakeholders? It's very important, but do they need to be convinced, or are they happy to jump on board?
Not always. Some of them, like for example, we have a hydropower station company. They produce the green or blue renewable, 100% renewable electricity from water or from river. So such a stakeholders, they were really happy to jump in because they saw the potential also to develop. But some of them, especially the companies that really their main business is not the electric mobility, or they are not involved, they needed a little bit more explanations. They needed some good practices and some discussion between the peers. But when they understood and when they saw some good practice, some potential, they joined. And then it was like really the snowball effect. They said, yes, this is really good for us, so we will buy a small car first. And some of them, they said, we would like to have electric bike just to test. And on the end, the decision makers that usually say, oh, these action plans are just because we have to have some paper. When they saw that on the ground, some activities already started, that some activities and some companies already recognize it as a potential for the development, they also understood it better and in shorter period of time. But I think without good communication between the stakeholders, it's a little bit difficult then to implement the measures.
That's very interesting, because I agree fully with you that stakeholders and they're giving their examples to the other stakeholders very important to speed up the process and to support. Thank you very much for this answer.
Yeah, thank you.
So if there are no further questions from the participants, then I would like to thank Vlasta and hand the floor to Jonas Löf from Miljöforum from Sweden, who will show some inspiring examples how to facilitate the implementation of electrical infrastructure. Jonas, the floor is yours.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you very much, Tekla. Thank you for being invited for this webinar, and I will present short experiences from building up charging infrastructure for electric vehicles in southeast part of Sweden. My name is Jonas Löf, representing an organization, Miljöforum Sverige, Clean Vehicle Sweden in English. We are an expert organization in sustainable transport. We are working independent and working also very close to the regional energy agencies. The start or the background of the initiative I will present is another initiative, the Green Charge Action, where 25 municipalities in the southeast Sweden were coming together and work for an increased number of electric vehicles and also charging infrastructure. As one part or one activity in this action, we made a survey in the end of 2014, in the beginning of 2015, where we looked for the need of regional public infrastructure in the southeast region of Sweden. The map is the southeast region in Sweden, and the dots are showed or identified points for fast charging infrastructure. This survey gave us answers on many questions: number of charges, type of charges, and not even fast chargers, also semi chargers, and so on. Also localization, where they should work in the best way, management system, payment system, and so on. A lot of questions that municipalities have in this area when this is such a new market. So we can say that this gives a very good guidelines for the further work. And we also were a little bit luck, or had a extraordinarily good timing, because in the same time it was a launch of a new national incentive program in the climate change area in Sweden. The name of it is translated into English Climate Climb, and gives fundings for climate change investments. And this was the base for the municipalities in southeast of Sweden to apply for such fundings, and also regarding identified charging points all over the region. So the application concluded 328 charging points, and received fundings for about €1 million. The result so far is 250 of these 328 charging points has been established so far. The action, or the initiative, was starting in 2016 and will end up in the end of 2018. So we will see even more charging points being established during the year. Another result, maybe the most important of this kind of action, is that it also became an important start for more investments in regional charging infrastructure. So the short conclusions of the experiences in southeast of Sweden is that networking, cooperation, knowing what to in this case where to put where the need is of charging infrastructure, facts and service, and also fundings or incentive programs will lead to success and results. As Tekla and also other already has said, the municipality has a role, and the public sector has a role to be a driver or forerunner to make this happen. So this was the very short presentation of the experiences in southeast Sweden. So thank you very much for your attention.
Jonas, thank you very much. Very impressive results of this initiative. Are there any questions?
Yeah, we have one. Dominic speaking. I would like to know, so you have incentive for the charging stations, for charging infrastructure, but from where is coming this money? Is it structural funds? Who is paying for that, giving this incentive?
I think it's national fundings. The government is putting money for in this area. They point out that this is a very important area, but the Climate Climb, this incentive program, they give money or fundings for building up charging infrastructure, other kind of infrastructure for other kind of renewable fuels in the transport area, but also changing energy system in other sectors as well. This is a competition. They give fundings for the most cost-effective climate change activities. So if you not have so good climate, can show up such as good cost effectivity, you will not receive fundings. But if you show good, which charging infrastructure is a good example, that you have good possibilities to receive fundings.
Okay, good to know. And so, because I know that you are in South Sweden, you are performant in terms of the use of biomethane in cars, and the citizen, they receive a subsidy for such car or not, electric or biomethane?
It is a newly launched scheme also for the taxes, car taxes, and if you buy low emission cars like electric vehicles, you will receive around 6,000 euros, and if you buy a methane car, you will get around 1,000 euro. On the other hand, if you have much pollutants from your car, you will have a very increased such tax. It's bonus malus like the system in France and maybe other European countries as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Tekla?
Yeah, I also have a short question, Jonas. We saw before that Sweden is already as a front driver in having a high market share of electric mobility. Would you say that this supporting of charging stations is one important aspect, or do you see other aspects that support this very positive development?
I think support of infrastructure is a very important part, but I think it was Vlasta. You said the implementation of cars really also have to go in line with the building up infrastructure. So I think in Sweden we have subsidies for both the vehicle part and also the infrastructure, and I think these two parts are very important for the development in Sweden.
Thank you very much, Jonas. So any other questions from the participants in the audience? No, so thank you very much, Jonas, and hope to see you soon. And then I would like to give the floor to Luis Morer from ICAEN, and he will show us some important factors to boost e-mobility on municipal and local level, and it's also about charging station. He will present the program ChargeNet. The floor is yours.
Hello, good morning, and thanks to FEDEREN for organizing this event.
You're welcome. See if you can open your camera as well.
Yes, of course. Okay, can you see the presentation?
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Perfect.
Okay. Then let's start from the beginning. So I'm present myself. I'm Luis Morer, and I'm responsible for the energy efficiency projects at the building sector, industry and mobility in the Catalan Institute for the Energy. The purpose of my presentation today is to share with you the experience that we had in boosting the charge infrastructure that we did in this in the action plan from 2016 till 2019. So we are in the middle. And in today's presentation, I would like to cover mostly 3 points. Firstly, the goals that we have in these action plans. Secondly, I can show you the results of this first year and a half. And finally, I will talk about the relationship between this plan and another huge plan that we have for the energy transition, where the electrical vehicle is a key part for us. So just a slide to show where is Catalonia and what are we talking about. We are trying to make that this red part in the slide becomes an attractive region for all electric vehicles. So we are trying to think every day, what can we do for make things easy for everybody? This is the main objective of this action plan. And why we start this action plan in 2016? because for us, the electric mobility has several advantages that you can see in this slide. We have some cities in Catalonia with a huge problem of pollution and a very bad air quality. Barcelona is one of them. So the electric vehicle is a great solution for solving this problem. Also, we have a very important problem in the energy management. Our system is always from the big centrals to houses, and we think that we can change this with the electric vehicles and the batteries. We also know that the electric vehicle is more efficient than the combustion vehicle. And finally, we have a very important problem with our pollutions in CO2, and the electric vehicle help us to put renewable energy in that sector that it's 95% dependent of fossil combustion. So electric vehicle is the solution. We start to think how we can make it faster than it should be. And here you can see the goals. There are these 4 philosophical goals and the 3 number goals. So I will start with the 4 philosophical. That is, we want to promote as much as possible the electrical vehicles in Catalonia. We want to give confidence to companies so that they can change to these electrical vehicles. We want to promote all the new business that can be start with the electrical vehicles, and we want to encourage municipalities to make this change and improve the air quality and the energy diversification. This action plan had a budget of around 5 million euros, and the goals for the end of 2019 are having more 100 fast charge station, 400 semi-fast charge station, and 25,000 electric vehicles in Catalonia. Nowadays, at the end of December 2017, we already have 52 fast charge stations, 66 semi-fast stations, and around right now 12,000 electrical vehicles running in Catalonia. These goals, we have to take into account that we thought these goals in 2015. The electric mobility sector is changing really, really fast. So in these goals, right now we are talking about fast charge station. Maybe we have to start thinking about the super fast charge station, about 150 kilowatts instead of 50 kilowatts. And the semi-fast faster station, they're not as important as we thought when we start the plan. We like to think always about this pyramid. This is what we always try to explain to the municipalities and to the citizens. And we have talked, or we have listened more or less the same during the presentation of today. For us, we have checked what is happening in the rest of Europe, and we have seen that, or we have a really interesting net of fast stations, or the electrical vehicles is not coming because nobody is believing that they will be able to charge and to use it with the same conditions as the combustible, with the same conditions as the fuel vehicle. So for us, the phase 1 in 2017 and 2019 is to create this net fast station. We are giving a grant of 40,000 euros for each station, and we are asking for these 50 kilowatts of power to make the charging. The second phase, it will be in 2019, so next year, and we are going to focus the budget in the usual and home station, because once we finish this year the fast station net, what we want is that then arrive a lot of electrical vehicles that can use this net. But we think that is the right order. First, we need the public fast station net that people can see it and can use it, and they see that it's feasible and it's working well. And then people will start buying and getting the electrical vehicle. The semi-fast station that we were giving a grant in the first year in 2017, about 5,000 in case that the semi-fast station was alternate current, or 15,000 if it was direct current. We thought that the private sector is going to put it in supermarkets, mall centers, and several places, and we are not helping to this net charge anymore. And why we chose this sequence of our project? Because we have seen in the countries where they have a lot of electric vehicle cars, that the fast stations, they are not used. People, what they really need is the home station. However, if you don't have the fast station in the country, then the people is not buying the electric car. So we want to finish the fast net stations, and then we will help citizens and everybody to buy the other cars and to put the charging stations at their home. Another thing that we are doing is giving a lot of information, because people and mostly citizens, they need to know that having an electric car is not a big change in their electric installation, and that they can charge and they don't have to increase the power of the home. Here in the second point, we can see this budgetary evolution. In 2017, we spent this around 1 million, a little less than 1 million euros. And in the fast station, it was 500,000. That means around 13 stations in 9 places. And you can see the numbers from the semi-fast station and the home charging points. And this 2018, as I told you, we want to finish the fast station net. So we put all the budget on these stations, and we hope that we can give a grant to around 22, 25 stations and increase in 20 more places, because we really need it. If we look at this next slide, we can see Catalonia. And as you can see, you can move with an electric car easily in the coastline. But if you want to go to the inside of the country, if you want to go to the Pyrenees, if you want to go to ski, then you really will have problems. And this is this priority area, not in 2019 as it's in the slide, it's in 2018. This is a priority in the grants that are currently running right now. And we also know that we have this coastline mostly covered, but we know that in several places there are just one fast charging station. And we also want that you need more than this. We want to make a solid net fast station. So we still have a lot of things to do. But in this first phase, we want to finish all the country, and then the private sector will come and will start helping us, because right now we are doing all this net fast charge station with the help of the municipalities. So the private sector, at least in Spain, in Catalonia, is not believing, or they are not have a business model, because there are not enough cars. So we have to finish the net, then the cars will arrive, and then we are sure that the private sector will do another or will increase this net of fast car stations, and we will go ahead. Every 3 months, we publish the numbers of electric vehicles that we have in Catalonia, and we are optimistic, and we think that in 2019, at the end, we will arrive to the 25,000 that we wanted, because this last year we have always doubled the number of electric cars in Catalonia, and unfortunately people are always waiting for the grants, and the grants in Spain are not as we would like they to be. And when they open, they finish in 24 hours, and people buy the cars in 1 day. So people is just waiting all the year to buy the electric cars, and if they don't achieve the grant, maybe they change and they buy another car. So we are really talking to the Spain government to see if this could change, or if people cannot wait for this grant to buy the electric car. As I told you, we are trying to make things easy for everybody. So all these fast charging station, we have information about them, and we have a map that it's information in real time, so everybody can see if this charging station is being used, is free, or if there has a maintenance, and you can use it. And you can take, you can arrive to all this data, and we hope that all the vehicle providers can use it and put it directly in their cars. Another thing that we are having problems is how to get into every one of these charging points. When we started in 2015, every municipality was creating a card, so you have to get the identification with that card. And it was getting really difficult because all the electric vehicles drivers should have like more than 10 cards to move around Catalonia. So we changed that, and now with just one card, you can have access to all the charging stations. And we are also working with all the municipalities to make that you can have this access with your mobile phone, and you don't need any card. And all this is happening right now because here in Spain, mostly people is using the charging stations, giving the energy for free, because we have a difficult normative that if you want to sell energy in a charge station, it's getting really difficult. With the new government, it seems that it will be easier, and we hope that it will be as easy as the rest of Europe. But right now it is quite complicated, so the municipalities, they don't want to have another problem, so they just give the energy for free, and they are okay with that because they are helping in other ways. So they are decreasing the pollution, they are increasing the air quality in the area, and they are improving the renewable energy and the energy diversification. So it's a cost that they can afford right now. And some other aspects that are helping us is that the big municipalities around Barcelona, as they have this big problem with pollution, they have make a plan that in 2020 it will be not allowed to go inside Barcelona with a diesel car by before 2005. So the message has been very interesting because people is starting to understand the problems of pollution with vehicles. And we think that this will help us that the number of electrical vehicles increase, and we will achieve the goal of these 25,000 vehicles in Catalonia. And the last part of the presentation is just to explain to you that for us the electrical vehicle is very interesting and is a level that will help us in this energy transition in Catalonia. What we are have mainly three pillars. The first pillar is to boost the photovoltaic and self-consumption. The second pillar is this electrical vehicle where we have a lot of batteries that can help a lot to book this energy from the photovoltaic. And the last part is renewable energy in a big scale. The first one is in a house or building scale, and the second one is and the third one is in a big scale. So this is what we are working for, this kind of images, and this is the house that we want in the future. And when we talk in the future, we are saying that the new houses, we think that they should be that way, and we are trying to make things easy for everybody. And this is the presentation, and I will be glad to answer any questions that you could have.
Thank you very much, Luis.
Thank you very much. Impressive work. Just a short question. Yourself, do you have an electric car or moto?
Sorry, if I have an electric car?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have a gas, a natural CNG gas, because I don't use the car in between the week, and I only use it in the weekends, and I love the mountain, so I need to arrive to the Pyrenees.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions from the audience? If not, then I have a question. You spoke about the energy. Did you have any cooperation with energy providers? Because in my experience, some of them are very interested in developing some new models. So how is this in Catalonia?
This last year, we are talking more and more with them, and things can change a lot. But at the beginning, they were blocking a little bit our net fast station plan, and they were not helping a lot. But right now, we think that the little ones, they are helping a lot, and they really come in all the meetings that we do, and they are trying to help us to find solution, and they are starting to become more and more interesting. And we think that in the next phase, in 2019 or at the end of this year, they will start installing more and more charging stations. But at the beginning, it was really a pity because we count on them, but they were not in the. They were always looking for the business model, And as we don't have a lot of cars in Catalonia, it was always a blockage for them to start believing in our plan and to help us in this first phase.
Thank you very much. Any other questions?
First, Luis, you will have a video to show, but we can ask all speakers to come back to open the cameras, and
Yes.
and then like that we could have more questions. So don't be so shy. Thank you, and feel free to ask questions.
This is the video of our, every year we did a meeting for the citizens where we try to show all the advantages of the electric cars. It's called Expo Electric, and this is the video from last year, and I hope you like it.
Some technical problems.
Llavors tenim les activitats infantils, que són, jo crec que bàsiques. El futur del vehicle elèctric tracta de que el nen prengui, nen o la nena prengui consciència del que és un vehicle elèctric i de que existeixen, perquè aquest serà un prescriptor tant quan ell se l'hagi de comprar com pels seus pares.
Well, this is the video of the Expo Electric, and I hope you like it. And it's a meeting that is really success, and it's really interesting maybe to do it in several places around Europe.
That's a very good idea. So may I ask to all participants, some of them already left, do you have some question to Luis, Tekla, Vlasta, Jonas of TB, which is not the right name, and so please feel free to have the question you want. Seems too shy. So perhaps we are going to close the session, but I would like to remind you that the next one will be at the end of October. We still have to decide the date, and we want to have a webinar on urban freight and cargo bikes. And so if you have experience yourself, please let me know. You can send an email to federen@federen.org, and we will be pleased with to organize this new session. So I would like to thank you, to warmly thanks our speakers, and thank you for your time and your good presentations. And I hope to see you soon in Ireland. Tekla, you want to give the final word?
Yeah, also thank you very much to all the presenters and to the audience. And I think we get some very interesting insights in electromobility on municipal and regional level. And I hope that you get some inspirations to create own projects or replicate something what we presented to you, or feel free to, and I think I speak for all the other presenters, feel free to contact us if later on questions came up. So thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you and goodbye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.